Hello, guys. Welcome to the first episode of Fearless Founders, powered by Lead Flux Martech. It's an initiative to celebrate the first generation founder, the journeys of first generation founders. We often talk about the unicorns, but we always don't talk about some of those startups who are actually making big out there and building up their own community. In this series of Fearless Founder episode, we are going to talk about how these first generation founders are actually making an impact on India's economy, what challenge they are facing, and how they are actually overcoming these challenges. And that's the reason the name of this talk show is Fearless Founder. In the first episode today, we're going to feature Navya Agrawal. She is a founder of Ivy, which is an abbreviation of I value every idea. She's a product designer by education and entrepreneur at heart. Mother of two Nordic kids, a dog lover, and a true leader who believes in upskilling herself. So let's welcome Navya. Hi Navya, how are you doing?
Hi Mayur, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And sorry for a small technical glitch. We actually started a bit late, but that's okay.
No worries.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. So now we are welcome to the first episode of Fearless Founders. And we are gonna discuss a lot of things here. How have you started? What's your journey? And in this next 30 to 35 minutes, we're gonna unfold few things that how you are actually making the difference out there. So just to understand few things from you, if you just can help us out that what's the startup, what's IV, that is I value every idea, and what's the mission and vision behind it.
Right. Like you'd already mentioned, IVI stands for I Value Every Idea. I'm a product designer and I started IVI with the basic vision to start and see how my designs actually uh, appeal to the public. So back when I started, there was no category as such that I'd say I want to focus on a DIY category or a workspace category. But today we have a clear definition where we say we want to be category industry leaders in DIY space and workspace essentials. And we basically provide sustainable living solutions to the rural artisans as well. So, apart from manufacturing products that are well designed and aesthetic in nature, what we're also trying to do is use rural artisans to create those products and help modify their skills as well.
That's amazing, and there are very few startups that are actually creating this social impact as well. So when I say what's the vision that you're driving in this, and what the kind of vision that drives you to make a difference in their lives?
So basically, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to train people who are not employed already, right? So, especially in the field of carpentry, because we have most of our products that are wooden, and where our manufacturing unit is, it's in Sitapur. This is near Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh. We have a lot of people who we can train to create these products. So even if they don't continue to work with us in the near future, right? They are sustainable. So what we're doing is basically training them from scratch. Then they continue with us or they continue elsewhere, right? In the process, it's a win-win for us as well because we get our products and most of them stay with us. So right, that's good for us.
That's great. So how did this IV happen? Like what was that moment or a catalyst that you thought that it could be a startup where you can create this social impact?
Right. I did not start really with the thought to create a social impact, being very fair and honest. Basically, when I started, I was doing my major design project in college and I needed to create a few mock ups and samples, right? For that, I needed the help of people who could actually shape the furniture pieces for me and help me create my mock-up. I'd gone back to my hometown. I did my education in Bangalore, so I'd gone back to my hometown for a vacation, and there I met these artisans. Only to realize that they were so enthusiastic about trying to create a mock-up. Right, they'd not got a chance to create something like this. They were only creating windows and doors. So
Hmm.
they were all very excited, right? So like my project sort of became everybody's projects. They had ideas and they had more ideas, and they started helping me uh, develop and grow it, which is when I realized that this is a very nice team, right? So to
Right.
start up, basically you need a team, and I thought I already found mine, right? So if I can design and they can create, I thought that combination was already there, and we started creating products, whatever I could think of back then, from whatever I had learned. And we started exhibiting in flea markets and exhibitions, trying to take a lot of customer feedback.
Hmm.
uh, and then there's no looking back, right? It just went on to an organic growth.
That's great. That's great. So, when in the process, I'm sure there are plenty of such things that has happened where you might have like transition from one thing to another. I was going through some of the details as well, and I also read that you were a co-founder of a company called Work in Progress, and then it moved to IV. So, what's that story?
So work in progress. So I have been working since college. While doing my graduation, I was freelancing as a graphic designer. There's a certain joy I find in just doing something, right? And while in my product designing course, right, we were four people in the batch, and
Hmm.
all of us got together to create this firm called Work in Progress.
Okay.
We started creating clocks, wall clocks. And since we were all product designers, our wall clocks were all very differently done. And in Bangalore, there's an exhibition called Sunday Soul Sante,
Yes.
and we started exhibiting there. And in college, that was like the first business that we did. It taught us a lot, right? In terms of procuring material, doing the basic accounting, and that also somewhere told me that okay, we can start something. Of course,
Hmm.
that was a very small time project. We all sort of knew it's not a long term thing. It only lasted till we were in college. But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have learned a lot of things because then you are maybe you don't have a fear of failure, but then you are producing a lot of good stuff,
Yeah.
right? So, in this startup arena, actually, what happened is people talk about a lot of IITs and IIMs, and all these kids get a lot of limelight. So, how did you like get into this when it comes to startup? What's the kind of academic background you have?
So I've done my graduation from Christ University, Bangalore, and post that I've done a product designing course from Raffles Millennium, again Bangalore. Before that, I've been in a boarding, first Nainital and then Rajasthan. So that's the kind of educational qualification that I have. Definitely not an IIT IIM product, but there's one thing that I can definitely say, that starting up requires, of course, I mean, a lot of knowledge, but also the courage to start, right? I mean, I think that becomes one of the very important factors. I mean, we all have a lot of ideas, but I think we just don't give them enough importance to start. I think that's where the problem is, and it's not just about where you've studied from.
Great. That's where I think now, if you see again a lot of you can say a startup which is coming from the tier two and tier three cities don't have much of IIT IIM, but they are able to make impact, and that's where the beauty of Indian startup ecosystem is happening, where we see even certain unicorns, like people don't come from IITs and IIMs and creating such impact. We would love to understand your childhood because of product designing as an education and then career. So what was your childhood was about? Like, I'm sure it is, we like could be of an 80s kid, right?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been in a boarding. So I come from Sitapur, right? So we didn't have a lot of good educational institutes there. So my parents decided to send me in a boarding, which I am very grateful for, actually, as opposed to what people have, perceived a boarding school as. I think that's one of the best things, that everybody should really experience that. That said, I was in Nainital, then Rajasthan. So most of my life was there, and then Bangalore for around 5 to 6 years. Uh, my father has been a very big motivation for me. Unfortunately, he is no more. But he had this sort of an attitude towards life, that whatever he'd do it with all his heart, he'd just give it his all. And I think that is something that I've really caught on, uh,
Yes.
and that has been with me and really helped me in my work as well. uh,
Great.
and then of course, product designing was a decision. Basically, I wanted to do animation actually. With my college and graduation, I took up a graphic designing course. There's this institute called Arena Multimedia. There are a lot of chains for Arena and Mag. So I did that part time. I was very ambitious actually. So, after my college, then 4 to 6, I'll go to Arena just to learn graphic designing and website designing. And then there was this particular model where they taught 3D modeling, right? So this could be a little technical, but then that is where you actually design 3D products. Now that is the part that actually I liked better than graphic designing, and that was product. So that's why product designing.
Right, and I can totally relate to that being an 80s kid because I was a part of NIIT and AppTech. So that goes there that there was so many of animation institute were coming up that point of time. Some of them were like national chains and some of them were like smaller things up there. So see, there is a lot of talk happens between the work-life balance and mental, emotional well-being and me time and all these. And being a founder, being an entrepreneur, we go through a lot of such things right now. So how do you manage actually that's being a mom and then a lot of other things and then running the successful startup and how the work-life balance is at your front?
So I am not sure I have perfected that area. I think there's always a new schedule that I make for myself at least once a month, wherein I'd allot a different time to the kids and a different time to myself and a different time to my work. A little change in their routine, say suddenly summer vacations and I have to reschedule everything. But what I like doing is a lot very specific time to everything. So when I'm working, actually, I am only working. So even if I'm working for 4 hours, I make sure that the output is worth at least 8 to 9 hours. And similarly, when I'm with my kids, I leave my phone aside. And so even, when I'm with them, they have all my attention. Uh, we have a very strict routine at my house. We sleep on time, we get up on time. So 8 o'clock, the kids sleep, everybody's on bed. So that's enough me time, post that. Mornings we get up like at 5:30. So again, if you have a good morning time, right, that the day just becomes longer. So I
Yes.
think just having a very strict schedule helps, right? And also having no schedule on Sundays, I think that's also very important. So
Right, right. And when you say 8 p.m. in the night and 5:30 in the morning, I'm like, that's super strict schedule.
so they've got used to it, right? My kids have got used to it, we've all got used to it, now feels more comfortable, right? So
Yeah, and as the one thing that you mentioned very right is when you wake up at 5:30 a.m., the day seems to be much longer. You feel that you have done so much of one work and it is just 10 a.m. in the morning.
yeah, that's correct, yes.
Right, right. So, when you started, I'm sure, as you said, that from college days you started working on your idea. Then four friends came along, created a startup, and then you moved on to this one. So, what are the kind of challenges that you face? Or I'm sure there are few challenges that is still very visible to you right now. That you felt that this is one that I conquered it, and I'm very good at it. So, what is the challenges that you faced, and you're still, I'm sure you're still facing those. So, would you like to just highlight that as well?
Yeah, so Mayur, I personally believe challenge is nothing but an opportunity to learn, right? So, I mean, every time there's a hurdle or a challenge, right? All we need to do is learn everything, because there's somebody somewhere who would have faced a similar situation, right? And internet is there available. So, if you just learn and from others' experiences and try applying, I think
Hmm.
the way is much easier. So I would say I've never been stuck at a major challenge like that, because I've always liked to, like I say, I'm always a student first, because I've always liked to learn about it and educate myself before assuming that this is a problem that cannot be solved, right?
Yes.
uh, Now, maybe when it started up, the biggest challenge I think at that time was trying to convince these artisans that I'm there for long. It's not like a project that I'm working with, because this is a long term thing, because their livelihood depended on it, right?
Yes.
So, thankfully, in product designing, they've taught us how to work with various machinery, and like I can actually use a circular saw or a cutter and everything, sand a product and make a chair or furniture piece myself, right? So initially I actually had to show that to my team to get a lot of trust from them, because being a woman at that time, a very young girl, and they thought that I'm just probably killing time or just doing
Great.
something for time pass. So just trying to gain that trust was one major challenge.
Hmm.
uh, Post that, I think every challenge has been an opportunity, as such. Even during COVID, we came up with a lot of new products and ranges, and suddenly online offline shut, then online opened up. So it was always an ongoing curve, right? A process.
Great, great. And that's what my lead to my next question is, during COVID time where everything was standstill except the essential thing, how did you guys manage to survive? How did you, because as I said, artisans were also dependent on you guys and based on your sales, and the kind of product that you guys are in are not essential. So what, how did you guys manage during those tough times?
So what happens, Mayur, is that usually when you're doing your day-to-day routine work, right, you get very little time for designing and product development.
Hmm.
We used all the lockdown period for that, and the moment that everything opened up, we had so many new products, right? And for our artisans, we paid them for that period, because the kind of products that we had developed, we were sure that's going to kick in.
Right.
So being able to just focus on product development and not operations was actually something that I thought of as very good for myself as well, right? Otherwise, only probably 1 hour or 1.5 hours would go into product development, and then the operations part and everything. And since I'm a product designer, that is one thing that I like doing. And all
Hmm.
my team, even the person who looks into social media, the one who looks into e-commerce, everybody became product developers at that time, and we all just designing.
Great. Yeah. So that means the COVID has actually been a catalyst for you guys to brainstorm a lot of new things and
A
come up
lot,
with new
yes.
ideas.
Definitely, definitely.
That's amazing. That somewhere I was also reading about a story of Sushma and how she. So I just want to understand that what was that actually?
Right. So, what happened is, after I met the first team of artisans, who I said that they work with me in my major design project, right? Now they were like four, and then their relatives, and everybody was like 10. But I needed more skills, right? So I started sending out a word in and around through the people in my house, or people who worked in my father's office, that anybody who has anything to show, right, any skill, just
Hmm.
come meet me. We'll see if we can do something, right? Anything creative.
Hmm.
Sushma used to do mehendi work, right? She used to apply mehendi for people on their hands. And
Hmm.
we have a range in IVEI called Mehendi Kala.
Okay.
So what we did was, we asked her to start applying mehendi on the wooden products, right? Using a marker.
Hmm.
So we basically paint the surface black, and we give her like metallic silver and golden markers, and asked to start painting that, right?
Yes.
So this entire range was born through her. And then since she was very creative, she said, दीदी मेरे को ना थोड़ा plain pieces दे दो, मैं भी कुछ बनाऊंगी घर पे, like just give me some wooden pieces, something. Again, now those plain pieces were something that she had asked for, but it just struck me that there's so many people who might need this, right?
Hmm.
So we started our DIY range on Amazon. We were actually the first to start these DIY MDF bases on Amazon, and today there's so many sellers doing it, because there's just so much demand for these products that it was actually surprising. Today, Sushma does all this, and she's also a warehouse manager, because she's just given us too much, right?
Right.
In terms of idea and growth. So, yeah.
That's amazing, and that's where that shows also that some of those major giants, that how they become major giants, because the people who are working together, who have a same vision and same passion, and they're able to see it in the same direction. If there are people who are looking at the opposite direction, you hardly will go nowhere. So
Right.
this is a very great example that how someone with such a small initiative can actually start an entire DIY series at IV. That's amazing. And what are the setbacks that make you more focused? Like we all get a lot of setbacks, and one way to look at setbacks is to see the next level of that. So what are some of those setbacks who made you more confident that what you're doing is can be led to any extent?
Uh, so I've had two major setbacks. I wouldn't say they made me more confident, but they definitely made me realize that what I have to do it now. I met a major accident around 4 or 5 years back, which could have, you know, been the end of things, right? Uh, when you come out of a situation like this, you realize that whatever you want to do, you have to do it now, right? I mean, life's not going to wait for you to keep planning 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, think we'll do this. You do something, you do it now. You want to make something big, make it now. You want to launch a product, launch it now. If you've already thought of it, develop on it. Uh, and then after I lost my father around 3.5 years back, uh, earlier whenever I had problems, right, like anybody, would just, call him, ask for advice, and you always had someone looking after you, at least that's how you felt, you had like an umbrella. But after he left, there were a lot of decisions that I would have not ever been able to take without him, which I had to take myself, right? And that is when it was there that now whatever you have to do yourself, right? You take the decisions. You can't just keep waiting for people to advise you. I mean, of course, listen to them, but then you have to, make a choice, and you don't have to always have someone tell you ki, "Theek hai, what you're thinking is right, go ahead."
Right.
Sometimes that has to be your own call, right?
Yes, yes. So as I can totally see that your father has been a true inspiration to you. What are the other inspiration source, or those maybe you do it and you're kind of a business where a lot of people has this kind of thing as their hobby to do a lot of things, but you're in that business. So what are your hobbies and what exactly you do in your unwinding to unwind yourself?
Uh, I don't know. I think I read a lot about what is happening in the industry. I think that is pretty much what I do. I want to hear about other founders. I want to see what they have done. Or if I'm not doing this, I'm probably trying to read about parenting and trying to get that right. So I think this is pretty much what I do. My elder son plays chess, so sometimes I do try my hand at that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And that's where my next question is there. As you said, you read about a lot of industry. So you're in a D2C kind of an industry right now. So what's the future of D2C industry that you're looking right now? The D2C industry is majorly dominated by a lot of cosmetic and apparel brands and all these, and Ayurveda and all that. But where do you see the D2C industries going in next couple of years?
There have been varied opinions, and I think there's no right answer to this question. But how I see it is that direct to consumer, maybe not, but digital first brands, because even now, see, we call the brands D2C, but we're selling via Amazon. So then
Hmm.
that's actually, there is somebody between you and the consumer, right? So we can just call ourselves maybe digital first here. Uh, but I think with so many people going online, there's a huge scope for that. There's a huge market for that.
Hmm.
And definitely it's only going to grow, right? But a lot of dependency on, say, Facebook and Google advertising, I think that is where the problem is. I
Hmm.
think that should be a part of where the revenue comes in from.
Hmm.
And any brand that truly understands that, that focusing on retention or focusing on conversions, uh, quality, customer satisfaction are very, very, very important. Any brand that invests on these, invests on going uh, via different channels, be it global, be it offline, and does not completely depend on Facebook, Google, and Shopify converting those orders, I think there's a lot of scope.
Okay, great. So, and what's this new venture that you guys are into, or especially you into a future wagon? So, can you just show us what's exactly is
Right.
that now?
So Future Wagon is a very interesting concept, right? So we're a house of brands, and unlike the house of brands that you probably heard of, not Roll Up Commerce, but we're a house. So IWay is now a part of Future Wagon, and I'm the co-founder for Future Wagon. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to sustainably grow design-led brands, right?
Okay.
Brands where there's a graphic designer, product designer involved, somebody who understands the product, who's invested in creating that product, right? And we help them scale that brand,
Okay.
right? And we're not saying that we're going to do it without the founder. So we
Mhm.
sort of form a partnership with the founder where the founder wants to be involved long term, right?
Mhm.
And we do this together involving the founder instead of acquiring the brand full fledged.
So, are you saying that you guys seems to be an accelerator kind of thing to them, to giving them a lot of support?
We're doing pretty much everything for them, right? Like from operations to marketing, and we're telling them to focus on the product, right? So if they can focus on the product, we'll take care of everything else, and we form like a partnership which helps both of us.
That's an interesting concept. And you focus on only on the design-led companies?
For now, yes, but design led or anyone who has an interesting product to offer. But yes, the product has to be well thought of, be it in terms of design, utility, or trying to bring in something entirely different. But it has to be a very, very unique concept or a product.
Great, great. And that leads to the another question is I see that all of your product line is basically has a lot of wood in it. So what's this love for the wood actually?
Right. So again, when I was doing my product designing course, right? So we were working with a lot of materials, starting from metal, glass, wood, plastic, acrylic, recycled, everything, right? For some reason, I've just found wood to be the most interesting of all, right? Because I feel one, I think I'm also very comfortable with the machinery that involves wood, right? I mean, I think I'm able to make the products better, let's say.
Okay.
Uh, and then it was sort of in sync, right? I found people also who work with wood for my first major design project, and I have been able to design better in wood. It is unlike plastic, very eco-friendly, sustainable. We use recycled wood, wood that is waste for a lot of industries. That is why we create all these miniatures. So it's just been good, but I'm not stuck on wood. I mean, if I do come across another material that works, why not?
Right, right. And before we wrap up, I have a very kind of cliche question, but it still needs to be asked because that's where the soul of this entire episode is. Is that what's the kind of advice that you would love to give to a budding entrepreneur? What's the few things that they should consider, whether it is there in a product or whether it is there in a service? What's the advice that you will give in this budding entrepreneurs?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to advise somebody, but if I have to say something, I think I would say what my brand stands for, right? So say value every idea, right? So a lot of times these ideas that come to us, right, are a product of our subconscious mind.
Hmm.
Uh, and we just think of something and rubbish it. We don't even give it enough respect. We don't develop on it. And I think I would just say that uh, give it the due respect that's come out of your own head, right? Develop on it, work on it, and see what happens. And of course, continue learning. I think the moment learning stops, growth stops, right? So, uh, yeah, that's it.
That's amazing, amazing session where we learned a lot of things about you, about the industry, and how things have like working for you. And best of luck for your new venture, Future Wagon. I'm sure you'll be able to create so many amazing brands under this now. And this is for it for the first episode, guys. She's Navya and she's doing amazing work in a product industry. Stay tuned for our next episode. And we wish you best of luck, Navya, for your future.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. Bye bye.